Hello, and welcome to my review of Unearthed, a 2024 anthology of terror and horror tales about murder, abduction, unexplained occurrences, and the highway to hell by Phil Herman, in association with Iguzu Studios, Herman Productions, Chevy's Film Productions, Devokees Productions, Lone Wolf Studios Uruguay, and Mostazos Productions. And the total running time for this is 107 minutes, which includes 4 horrifyingly dark tales of the macabre. So we enter the film in a dark and dingy forest. It's winter and the trees are bare. We meet the storyteller called Doom, who has taken a journal from inside the grave of his loved one, Lucinda. So this is a captivating introduction, and he is a very frightful looking character who reminds me of one of the ghosts of Pirates of the Caribbean or something. He's creepy. When he opens the book, the viewer's sense of anticipation is heightened as we look forward to the stories within its pages. The first words he utters are very chilling. The definition of unearthed is the discovery of something hidden, lost or kept secret from investigation, and this is a great way to kick off the film. So the first story is called The Ties That Bind, is directed by Derek Brushk, produced by Nina Trader and Derek Brushk, and this one runs for 45 minutes, which is the longest story in the whole of this anthology. This story is about a detective who faces a personal struggle as he submerges himself into a murder case, realising that unravelling the mysteries might shatter lives. The question is, whose lives will be shattered? I got the sense I was watching a full-length movie film, not a 45-minute short horror film, because the story arc is so well done. It's very easy to comprehend the tension, suspense, terror, relatability, and believability to appreciate elements like the cinematography of close-up shots, drone shots, angled shots, all capturing the different settings and location changes. The dialogue is very well delivered, it's authentic and compelling. The revelations and the turns and twists as the story progresses will surely make viewers happy as the intensity is ramped up. I like the lesson. Sometimes people aren't who they seem to be. Just because the story concluded, it still played on my mind, and I was left with a wonderful feeling of excitement, pondering on the plot and how the filmmaker managed to keep us fooled right up until the credits rolled. So there is a great tonal changes from deeply dark, and where monstrous atrocities occur, to more light-hearted mood shifts and moments of normalcy, like the family at home and cohesion, where everything is fine until it isn't. Will detectives Herman and Greer find the person who killed Judy? The twist at the end was so unexpected. I did not see that coming. I commend Phil Herman and for his characterization and the intricately woven drama threaded throughout this ghastly tale. We nicely segue into the next story after an interlude with Doom. Part 2 is Looking Towards the Sky, and it's written and directed by Will Devokees, produced by Will Devokees and Phil Herman, and this one only goes for 20 minutes. So in a quest to locate a missing man named Frank, his wife Julie and his father Dan stumble upon unsettling clues suggesting that something otherworldly is taking place. There are excellent special effects in this one that really captivated me. The concept of this, the information being revealed about the world as we know it, is not only thought-provoking, but it also challenges the viewer's own belief and worldview. I like the way it questions if we're truly alone in the universe. The sound effects are gruesome, sure to make you slightly uncomfortable. The characters are authentic in the sense that they are believable. We see the different perceptions of the scenario from their different points of views. And I like the emotional journey that Frank goes through as he unravels the truth in a compelling and interesting way. There's a nice gradient of colours coming through that add depth to the scenes as well as the images of horror that are truly incomprehensible and deliver this situation in a grueling way. As this is an alien abduction story, I have to say that the alien and the spaceship are top-notch and effective. The twists and turns at the end of this one are very frightening. Will this be our future? I hope not. I was blown away by this by the end of it. And then we come on to Clean House, which is the third story in this anthology, and the director is Marcello Fabani, who is also the scriptwriter, and it was produced by Silvia Bruno. So this one's also 20 minutes long, and this story is about a woman alone in her house where she's experiencing inexplicable occurrences, which prompts her to actually seek out a paranormal investigator to help unravel the mysteries that are happening within her home. So we're brought into the scene with a lovely classical music, and I also like the setting. It's rural, a very nice contrast of colours to give off a vibe of perhaps a simpler time and era. There are indications this is set in a foreign land by the language they use and the colours used in the segment, as well as the old ringer phone sets this in the past quite nicely. We're introduced to Andrea as she approaches a witch. Graphic depictions tell a devastating tale of some disastrous events that have actually taken place. It's a believable and intricate story with dark undertones to draw the viewer in, wanting to know what is going to happen. The music in this scene really adds an extra layer of horror. The sound effects are wonderfully enhancing the scene and adding intrigue to the setting. There is a possession delivered in an extremely morbid way to gratify all horror lovers. Religious artifacts are nicely placed to set the tone, and how this all ties together nicely as well done, actually. So the conversation between the priest and the otherworldly being is very interesting and actually very poignant to the story arc. And here we are once again being delivered another ending that I did not anticipate, so it was a really nice surprise. And at the end there's an added bonus that adds something sinister into the overall plot. So the fourth and final segment or story in this anthology is called Highway Rivalry, directed and script written by James Panetta and Phil Herman and produced by James Panetta. And the total running time for this one is 20 minutes as we follow Terry and her accomplice who are being pursued by a psychotic cop of the open road, and the more we learn, the more twisted things get. So this particular story is a little more complex than the other ones in this anthology. We enter the scene in a car with an interesting colour variant. It's like we're actually viewing the scene through sunglass lens. I like that. It's a very intriguing use of colour. And I would say the narrator, the Road Reaper, who is a YouTuber vlogging as he talks about the highway to hell, is a really great hook. And I really appreciate the point of view, the camera shots, and it gave the sense of this not only being a first-person point of view, but that we're about to go on a wild ride. I really enjoyed the witness accounts of their encounters along this stretch of road, as it brought a sense of mystery and something otherworldly into the script. So there are dark forces at play, and this adds a good amount of terror. The shocking events and images are amazing and depict the tone, which is dreadful and intense, and the gore is not overdone. I think it's well contained and delivered as to not tip into a gore fest. It's balanced out quite well, in my opinion. A news reporter reveals vital information about the serial killer they are hunting down, who has been leaving death and destruction and devastation along the highway. We learn that this particular serial killer, who police have dubbed the Highwayman, is on a deluded mission to become the most prolific serial killer of all time, and I like this premise as it adds steps to the characterization of this horrid individual. So there are a married couple who initiate a chain of events that will surely have you sitting on the edge of your seat, as it did with me. It was great to see Phil Herman play one of the character roles. So the twists and turns happen, ramping up the tension. The suspense is building nicely too. Appropriate music and visceral sound effects add texture into the scenes, and I also enjoyed the conversation between Terry and the man who picks her up hitchhiking. It'll make you think twice about getting into a car with a complete stranger, and I appreciate the lesson in this one. Don't get into cars with people you don't know, and don't pick up hitchhikers you don't know who they are, and you don't know their intentions either. It kind of feels like a cat and mouse game. So when the police enter the scene, we get glimpses of horrifying images of what actually happened to the serial killer's victims. And I loved the flashback scene. It's gut-wrenching. Excellent. The sound effects of horror are visceral and sickening in places, and we get to see some of the damage this monster has done to his victims. He's left about 30 victims in his wake. So the scene in the public restroom has amped the story up until the climax at the end. More and more dark events take place as the story begins to unravel its truths. Secrets are uncovered, death is but a breath away. This ends in the most unbelievable way, and like all the previous stories in this anthology, we are left reeling over the unexpected ending. Well done. Then we segue back to Doom, and I like the way this wraps around the film to tie it all together. Overall, I highly recommend this one to watch when it is released. I've had the privilege of reviewing 3 other films by Phil Herman and his team, and they just keep getting better and better with each one. And I really loved the storyteller Doom. He's a frightening looking character played by Christopher Carlo. His voice is deep and gravelly, and the reverb helps with adding the creep factor into these interludes between stories. So the costumes and makeup are brilliantly frightful. The special effects are fantastically realistic in a surreal way, and it all looks realistic, and the horror imagery looks shockingly believable. Experimentation of colour gradients worked well and are so effective how they managed to carry through all the films in different various ways. Great horror scenes and images, the gore is nicely contained and balanced, brilliant characterisation, well thought out, authentic characters, and the acting is really good, and great to see the return of some familiar faces and names, especially seeing Phil Herman himself playing a role in his creation. So there are a great amount of twists and turns in each story to keep the viewer invested and intrigued. There are a great amount of twists and turns in each story to keep the viewer invested and intrigued. And the amazing cinematography was expertly done with many different angles, formats, camera points of views to enhance each tale. The tonal changes are expertly positioned and gave us a bone-chilling account, as I believe the tones were actually very vital in this film. The ghastly sound effects add intensity to the storyline and the overall plot. Also, great choice of music to accompany the scenes in a wonderful way. The editing is masterful, and great to see this team go the extra distance. I can tell they worked very well together, and a lot of work, passion and commitment has gone into the making of this film. This is one anthology you need to add to your collection. So that is my review of Unearthed by Phil Herman and his team, and I will link a trailer to it in the description section of my review. I hope you enjoyed my review, and until the next one, stay safe out there, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.